My top 5 most obvious signs of autism in girls from the point of view of an autism assessor. Now, bear in mind that research has demonstrated that girls on the spectrum are very good at masking, so it's not always as obvious, but here we go. My name is Conor McDonough from Keros Therapies. We complete autism assessments for children and adults. So the first one is a girl who is very rule bound and has difficulties with change. They often like to fit in and don't make a big fuss. So sometimes what tends to happen is they internalize these anxieties, but you will recognize that they struggle when the routines change. They get very upset when other children don't play in the way that they'd like to do. They always like to be early and on time. But although they have these difficulties, they don't like to draw attention to themselves and make a fuss, as I mentioned. The second difficulty that we frequently see is when a girl on the spectrum has difficulties with processing sensory information. So there are many ways that we see this, but for example, a girl on the spectrum may have difficulties with tolerating loud and sudden sounds. They may struggle to focus and concentrate in a busy environment like a classroom. They may be very fussy and particular about the types of clothes that they wear because of how they feel. Or they may be poorly coordinated and quite resistant to engaging in sports because they realize that maybe they're not as good as their peers, so they choose to stay away from these. The third issue that we often see is difficulties with intense interests. So we know that girls on the spectrum often choose interests that are socially acceptable. So it can be things like Barbie and girls' programs, and maybe as they're older, it may be that when they get older, it's clothing and makeup, for example. But you will recognize that they have an intense interest in these subjects. So they want to talk about it all the time. They want to read about it and explore it at every opportunity. And just remember that autism is a spectrum. So there is a wide range of signs and symptoms. These are just a few, and in my experience, the most common.